Terry Moore has had a football coaching career that has spanned over 30 years. During his extensive career, he has helped develop many young players who've gone on to achieve professional careers. Players like Aaron Ramsey, Joe Ledley, Chris Gunter, James Ward-Prowse, Luke Shaw, Callum Chambers, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Terry is a highly experienced coach. He was awarded the FA's Professional Game Youth Development Phase Coach of the Year award in 2014. Over the course of his illustrious career, he has continued to develop and evolve. He currently holds the following qualifications: the UEFA Pro Licence, UEFA A Licence, FA Advanced Youth Award, Academy Manager's Licence, FA Youth Certificate for under 17s to under 21s, and Sports Therapist Diploma, plus others. Terry began his professional coaching career at his hometown club, Cardiff City. He progressed on to working at Barry Town, who played in the League of Wales. He then returned to Cardiff City and took on more responsibilities and developing his knowledge further, which led him to a role at Southampton Football Club, a role that saw him help establish one of the leading academies in Europe. After departing Southampton, Terry coached at Colchester United and Yeovil Town. Over his time at these clubs, Terry held a number of roles including Assistant Academy Manager, Lead Foundation Phase Coach, Lead Youth Development Phase Coach, Lead Professional Phase Coach. Since departing professional football, Terry has begun working with BRS Coaching Academy and helping them establish a platform to help the development of their players and coaches. This Q&A session is part of the Coaches Development Programme that BRS and Terry are currently providing to coaches in Dorset and Hampshire.
I guess the key thing for me is when players move up from the foundation phase to the youth development phase, you have to break it down into ages then. The first thing you look at is obviously the under 11s becoming under 12s. They're going on to a bigger pitch, they're going into 11-a-side. Some coaches don't agree with it, I don't personally, but they do go into 11-a-side at under 12. And they go from being the oldest person in a school, oldest boy in a school, to now being the youngest boy in the school. So you have to look at the psychological effect that has on them as well. Obviously, coaching players is a multidisciplinary it's a multidisciplinary thing. So you have to look at the psychological impact that has on an under 12, especially as it's a growth spurt year as well. And it's a 1-year contract with the under 12. So he's working towards then a 2-year contract, which is 13 and 14. And then they're working towards a 2-year contract at 15 and 16. Obviously, in academies now, you've got full-time education models, so the kids at Cat 1 level can come in and be really schooled on site now. So you've got a lot more contact time with them. And obviously, as it's multidisciplinary, the sports scientists have a lot more time with them, the medical people have a lot more time with them, the psychologists have a lot more time with them. So the support structure is in place to give the players the best chance of trying to earn a scholarship and progress. So breaking it down into the 12s, going into the 11-a-side game, obviously they're going from now into unit work, i.e. back four, midfield, working with strikers. And they're learning about roles and responsibilities now in an 11-a-side game. And then when you move into the 13 and 14s, it's exactly the same. It's more intense. The demands on them are slightly greater. And then from me, they're still having a preference to play in one position, but still being able to play in possibly another 2 positions if need be. And then in their 15 and 16 years, they're really nailing down a position which is going to give them the best chance to earn a scholarship. And it's our job as development coaches to give these players the best chance that they can, so that they can progress and chase the dream, if you like. And it's really hard in the 15 and 16 year because they've got a year and a half. Decisions have to be made by the 31st of December in their under 16 year, whether they're going to get a scholarship or not. So that then impacts on what you have to try and get into these players. over that last year and a half to give them the best opportunity to become scholars. So the youth development phase, everything they've done in the foundation phase is preparing them for the youth development phase, but it's the next stage of the building blocks, if you like, in their footballing careers. And if they do get into the professional phase, well, then it's another cycle of training sessions that are going to kick them on to try and get into that first team. So there's lots of challenges ahead. The biggest thing is the roles and responsibilities that come with each position in the team, and it's educating the players so that they know what that role and responsibility is. I suppose when we look at ourselves as coaches, we're trying to produce master technical players, or players who have terrific ball mastery skills, but also who are learning how to become good tacticians. Are they going to be the finished article? No, they're not. They're just on another stage of their journey, and it's our job to develop them and push them and help them get as far as they possibly can. Well, for me, coaching methods are governed by the age and ability of the players you're working with, plus how best the players learn, i.e. what do they learn through command, do they learn through player-led, guided discovery, trial and error, Q&A. I suppose when I look back at myself as a young player, everything was done command style now. The game has evolved a lot more now, and the coach's role is identifying each player's different learning needs, and you have to cater for each player's different learning needs. So the coaching methods I do in the game would be, obviously you have your topic for whatever session you're doing, but then you have to break it down for each individual player and know what his different learning needs are. So then the skill of the coach is when to stop it, when to leave it flow and bring one player out to have a chat, when to let the players ask questions and use Q&A. So the skills of the coach are varied among these coaching styles and what the best methods are, but they are really governed by the skills of the coach in identifying what the needs of the players are. I suppose I was brought up on 4-4-2 as well, and that was basically the easiest system to coach as well. So, but then as I progressed in my coaching career, more flexible systems came into play, i.e. 3-5-2, 4-3-3, which then can be 3-4-3, it can be 4-4-1-1. The systems change completely out there. And I think really, is it about systems or is it about the players? And I think it's, look, if you've got two good centre forwards, you're not going to leave one out and play a 4-3-3 unless you can get one to play what we call a false number 9, and that's in the 10 role. So you're governed by the players you're working with. You've got two strikers, you have to accommodate them, whether it's 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. You're not going to leave a good player out. So your system has to adapt to the players that you're working with, based around whether they're defenders, midfielders or strikers really, and what system suits them. So for me, I've always sort of moved on to 4-3-3 now. I think it's the most flexible system that helps players understand the game, because it's easy to change to a different formation. People ask me, do you change formations when the opposition have the ball? And I think it's down to how you coach the players. You've got a way of playing for your players, and I think that's important. And I think the questions they have to ask themselves is, when the opposition has got possession, how does that affect our system from a defensive point of view? We play 4-3-3 when we're attacking, but when we're having to defend, we might have to go into a different shape, especially if the opposition are hurting us a certain way. So we might have to drag people back into a different formation, a different shape, to accommodate us getting the ball back really. And then when we do get the ball back, well, we then go back quickly to our preferred 4-3-3 shape. So I think now, as the game has evolved, we have to be flexible and adaptable as coaches, one in identifying the players, the skills of the players that we're working with, and what system best suits their skills and the amount of players that we have, and then also educate them into how would we play against if we're playing 4-3-3 defensively, how would we cope playing against a 4-4-2, how would we cope playing against a 3-5-2, how would we cope playing against a different system, if you like, when they had the ball. And really, if they're not hurting us, well, we probably defend it in a 4-3-3. You know, we keep the 9 as far up the field as we can. We drop the 2 wide strikers back in a little bit. So it can end up as a 4-5-1. It can end up as a 4-2-3-1. So it's again, is it about systems? For me, it's about the players and us getting the work into the players for them to make the decisions on the pitch when they come up against these different systems of play. I suppose any warm-up that you prepare players for the game is good, really. I've done the same warm-up for I don't know how many number of years. I've got it on the board here, if you can hopefully see it. I would normally warm them up for 30 to 35 minutes. I have a 30 by 20 yard rectangle. And if they're under 12s, if I've got enough footballs, they'd have a ball each inside, and they'd be doing basic ball mastery skills in there, moving the ball around the area, lots of turns, lots of dribbles, lots of changes of pace, always with their heads up through the interference of the other dribblers in there. And then from that, I break it down to 6 groups, if you like, 3 along each side. There's 3 balls in play, and now they can run the ball across the area anywhere they like, maybe a little turn in the middle here, and so they get used to running with the ball on the surface of the pitch and having it always with their heads up and making a decision on where they run it to, so 2 balls don't get into one player. They have little takes on the outside then, and then the next player's off dribbling his ball, running with it, etc. From there I incorporate 1-2s, so there could be a turn, a 1-2 with somebody on the outside, a quick little set and a combination before they come back into the field of play. So little movement patterns that relate to what they would be doing in the game. My final session would be, and again, what time would I spend on it? You have to break the 30 or 35 minutes down yourself, but the final bit for me, I play what I call 4 2-minute games, where I play the back 4 and the front 3, because we play a 4-3-3, the front 3 and the number 10, so there's 2 4s, a back 4, the front 3 and a number 10, and the 4 and the 8 who I play in midfield become what I call the floaters. So there's always a 6v4. The subs are on the outside, playing 2-touch, so the decision is inside is when to play inside, when to play outside, and we just move it from end to end, side to side, etc. It's a possession-based game, and we work for 2 minutes of high tempo, high intensity. At the end of the two minutes, they come in for a water break, generalise, ask questions, get feedback from the players on what they could do different or what they could improve on, put them back out there, and then that takes care of the 4 2-minute games. When that finishes, I normally finish them with 3 5-second sprints, multi-directional inside the area, and it's always a little circle, rolling off each other, and then as soon as the coach says go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they're doing multi-directional sprints, changing their direction, as we say, and then they do stretches on the way back in, and they do that 3 times. Then they're ready to go in the game. They'll finish with a drink, a quick little chat from the coach, if anything, or a little circle themselves, and then they're ready to go in the game. I've not changed that for any age in the 11-a-side game, so I still work that all the way up to youth team players. So there was continuity in my warm-ups, if you like. I've made a few notes here. Sorry, I have to keep going back to my notes now and again. I say, I mean, having confidence and a positive mindset and taking it into a game is vital for all players, and it's controlled by the player and not the opposition. Little tricks that you can do with your son is, obviously, the night before the game is sending him to bed with positive, what we call positive mental imagery, and that is thinking about things or thoughts that things he's done well in a game previously or might be in the week's training. And the idea behind that logic is then, the psychologist will tell you this, is that when he wakes up in the morning, he's in a positive frame of mind, he's gone to bed with good thoughts about himself as a player, and hopefully he can transfer that into the game. I think how they travel to games then can be beneficial. They'll all have a difference. I think young players like to listen to music now, which again is a good way, if you like, of getting them in the zone, or themselves in the zone. I think the worst thing we as parents can do is be bending their ear all the way in when you're travelling to a game, and we're putting too much pressure on the kids, I feel, and they need time to digest the game that they're going into, because when they get there they know the coach is going to be telling them certain things, and that's going to be their focus before they go out and play. So the mental imagery is a big thing for me, and he's going into the game with a focus on what the coach's targets the coach is setting him in the game, and that is his focus. The big thing is not letting mistakes worry him in the game, but having that emotional control, which is vital. And I have got an emotional control sheet which I give out to all players, so I'll make sure Kai and Ben get that sheet, and then hopefully they can hand it out to all the coaches to give out to players, and it really will help the players understand that it's all right to make mistakes. You know, it's how you react to the mistake is how you deal with it. It's got to be a positive way, and not a way that beats you up and you don't want to receive the ball again. And you know, and you get on top of your game if you can, and you're going to have your 1v1 battles with your opponents in midfield, and that's your challenge in every game. And sometimes you'll come out on top, and sometimes you won't come out on top. And they have to understand that they're not going to be the best player week in, week out. Sometimes they will be, a lot of the times they won't be, but how you talk to them, how you give them that positivity, helps them set them up for the next week's training, and then obviously the next game. I think when you look at it, it's down to you as the coach, when you set up your session, where you pitch it. If you pitch it too hard for your best players, well, you've got no chance of the other players of getting success in that session. So you pitch it for your best players. It's the individual challenges you set the other players that helps them get to, you know, or helps them become stronger. And it's so important now that you've got some kids who are striving ahead in your group, some that are average in the middle, and there's a little group behind that are just hanging on by the shirt tails. And you have to understand that they will catch up at certain times. We just haven't got a crystal ball to say when that might happen. But you've got to set them individual challenges. Ways of doing it are pairing, you know, players up on equal ability. It might be pairing weaker players up with players of stronger ability, so that they're then working with a stronger player, which then gives them confidence and lets them try things. But I think then the individual challenges, obviously, if it's too easy for one of your stronger players, you might have to put him onto one touch. If it's harder for some of your players, you might put them on the outside of the session before bringing them back in, so that they can see the session, get a bit of confidence on the outside. Then you put them back in. I think it's dipping the feet in the water at times, and when to take them out of that water and let them view it from the outside. And again, the skill of the coach, as I say, is in setting individual challenges so that they hopefully will get to where you want them to be. But it's a constant battle. You'll never have 11 players of all the same ability working, and again, the skill of the coach is knowing the needs of each individual player and setting the appropriate challenges that then challenge that player, or challenge each player, and then hopefully you'll get them developing and progressing.